How much can you actually learn, linguistically speaking, in 1 week of full immersion? Well, how about we test it? Hello number ones, welcome back to Metatron's Academy, the channel where we explore how to learn languages in the most fun and effective way possible. And today we're discussing this trend that you see all over the place in all sorts of social media. Learn Mandarin in 1 week, become fluent in Japanese in 7 days. Now I've already mentioned on this channel that of course language learning, when it's professionally addressed, well, it takes time. Patience is probably as important as long-time commitment when it comes to reaching fluency in any given language. With that being said, just saying something is not as effective as proving it, and to prove it, we need to experiment it. And that's when this notebook comes into place. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. So before diving into my own personal experiment of how much I managed to learn in one of my target languages with a full focus of 7 days, before jumping into the actual results and discussing them, I'd like to bring up the fundamental misunderstanding that a lot of creators and language learners / students tend or seem to have. The actual meaning of the sentence, I learned. This, of course, might sound like an obvious thing. We all know what it means to learn something, but oh gosh, let me tell you, as a teacher, language teacher with over a decade of experience, no, most students don't know what it means to learn a word, or structure, or language pattern. Let's say that I wanted to know how to say nose in Japanese for whatever reason. So I look up the word, and the word is hana. Fantastic. So what do you usually do? What many students tend to do is that they write it down on their notebook. They write nose equals hana. Maybe they write the kanji as well if they feel fancy about it. Other students will try to, maybe let's write 5 sentences. So they're like, I'm touching my nose, I'm doing this. And I don't know why I even chose the word nose, but you know what I mean. Let's say a more useful, more common word, the word for Japan in Japanese, which is Nihon. So imagine a student who just wants to write a few sentences and he writes, yesterday I went to Japan. 昨日、日本に行きました. I really want to go visit Japan. 日本に本当に行きたいですね. Etc. Now for a lot of students, that's it. They're like, yeah, okay, I learned the word. Then wait 3 days, sometimes even as little as a phone call. And then you ask them after a few days, so how do you say Japan in Japanese? And they're like, wait. So you haven't learned the word. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that there is a huge difference between short-term memory and long-term memory, which is a concept I've already addressed on several videos on this channel. In order to not repeat myself and also simplify this a little bit, let's just put it this way. You have not learnt a word until you have completely mastered it, and you can recall it whenever you need it, whenever you want, like this. If you have found a new word, you looked it up on the dictionary, you said it a few times, you wrote it down, you haven't learnt it. You have studied it. 2 different things within linguistic journeys. The reason for this clarification is because whenever we want to try and quantify how much we are actually learning within a specific focused, fired, small period of time, say 7 days, the only way for that quantification to actually make sense and not being a way to try and just boost your ego is to be realistic and really know what it means to learn words. In other words, this huge social media trend whereby people do 1 week of studies and then they tell you, I could have a full conversation after the full week. You know what it equals to? To the dude at the gym that asks you, how much can you bench, bro? It's the same thing. And then you just give him a number, even if whenever you do try and lift that weight, you're all doing it wrong, and you manage to do just 1 rep by the grace of God. It's not a weight you have mastered, but you gotta say it because it boosts your ego. Doesn't work like that. So let's have a look at the test that I tried. What did I try? How much did I retain? And was it worth it? So in this case, what I tried to do was to focus on Mandarin learning, which is the language that I'm trying to reach fluency with. And what I decided to do, I decided to try and make this, as I say, a focused study of 7 days. So every day I had the goal of trying to study 25 new words, and I would do this for a period of 7 days in a row. So I've been choosing words that I thought would make sense because these would be words that I would be using on a sort of a daily basis, or stuff that would just make sense for the sort of conversation that I was trying to expand my vocabulary into. And as you can see, I did. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and there you go. We go all the way back to Monday, and to be honest with you, I kind of enjoyed it, and therefore I kept on going. Then I stopped this super focused study and let a few months pass by. So the real question is, how much did I retain of that super focused vocabulary with that level of learning? Because 25 new words a day, it's a lot of words. How much did I retain? To be honest, I want to say something like 20% maybe. So most of what I've studied, or should I say learned, is gone. So let's see why. Now, linguistically speaking, even though there are more talented people and a little less talented people, we all sort of function similarly in the sense that anyone who goes to the gym consistently and trains will see an improvement, but not everyone will become a full-on bodybuilder. Some people just have better genetics. But if you do consistently keep on working out, you will see results, particularly if you're doing it well and you're also, eating and sleeping properly. But similarly, believe it or not, similarly with language, everyone who starts putting a daily repetition into their vocabulary assumption and language learning will see an improvement. So even though the main problem with this whole situation is that oftentimes we have very unrealistic expectations, it still is worth it to make it into a daily habit. The only thing is that trying to achieve numbers that are, wow, just for shock factor, 25 words a day, at the end of the day, it just doesn't work. But now I'd like to take a moment to mention the kind sponsor that made this video possible, Link. Link is a language app that lets you learn from the content you love, focusing on input, namely reading and listening in your target language. The app has been recently redesigned. It comes with thousands of hours of content that includes audio and text. And of course, you can also look up words and phrases. You can import content from YouTube, Netflix, blogs, news, and much more. So you can use Link to build your own library and get fluent using content you love, which is what I always advocate on this channel. At the end of the day, that's my intro. But Link has a lot of other positive aspects. For example, you've got a plethora of languages to choose from. And when it comes to my own experience, I've been using Link to brush up my Japanese and to reach fluency in Mandarin. So my focus on the app has been more intense for Mandarin, I have to say. Impressive. Link also tracks your statistics, it's available on mobile, and it was co-founded by Steve Kaufman. Pretty sure every one of you already know who Kaufman is. Much respect. Another major update when it comes to Link is the integration of Whisper AI into Link. And this is a massive one because it allows users to generate text from any audio file, including podcasts and audiobooks. This new feature enhances tremendously the user's experience as it gives you even more content to choose to learn from. Now, if you are considering giving Link a try, absolutely click the link in the description box and you will get a 35% discount by using my link. And big thanks to Link for sponsoring my channel. So in other words, these focused 7 days of extreme language learning, they will give you a boost. And any boost is great. But oftentimes we try to achieve numbers that are too high because, we want to show off. And at the end of the day, you will hit a blockade. If you don't spend some time also to retain the vocabulary, so you do specific retention exercises, I'll make a dedicated video very soon, you will lose a lot of what you're actually learning. This, however, wasn't a complete waste of time in the sense that I managed to use the language on a daily basis, so my overall fluency in the language, even though I don't remember all of the words that I wrote down, in fact, I don't remember half of them, still I managed to practice the language daily, and I also did a lot of listening every day. And therefore, I do feel that I still had some reasonable and quantifiable benefits from a focused learning approach. But the idea of how many new words am I actually learning, well, that one, in my experience and in my opinion, it makes a lot more sense to just stick to a lower and more manageable number, say 5 new words a day, which are already a lot of words, mind you, because they will build up, that's the thing. Stick to a lower number and make sure you give yourself enough time to spread those words over an extended period of time so that you have enough repetition and daily usage to really learn them. Otherwise, all you're doing, which is what a lot of these channels do, you have studied a lot, but you're not learning much, and this is all just a big show. And the reality when it comes to language learning is that it's very similar to physics. You can believe you are incredible and amazing as much as you want, but once you face a native speaker and they speak to you, how much you'll be able to speak back and how much you'll be able to understand will depend on your real skills, not on the Dunning-Kruger effect. And the reason why I'm saying it's similar to physics is because you can believe you can fly as much as you want. If you jump out that window, physics will prove you wrong, no matter what you think. So the one thing that I'd like you to take home from this video is not that I discourage you from focused learning. Absolutely. If you have the time, feel free to do 1 week of super focused study where you decide to go for 5 new words a day, even though again vocabulary is not all there is to it. There is a lot more that needs to be added as well if you really want to improve, but hey, vocabulary is also important. So 5 words a day, properly pronounced, spread within 7 days, that's 35 new words. At the end of this week, and these new 35 words, give yourself time to use them throughout the month. Keep on using them so that they do become part of your everyday routine language learning and just the way you speak. It is much better to fully acquire 35, 40, 50 new words in a month rather than pretending to be learning something like 300, 400 words, but then you remember 20. What's the point of that? You would have been better off with 50, but done at a more realistic, little bit slower pace, still focusing on the language whenever you can, because when you speak, you have a great opportunity, you listen, that's great, it's gonna help you out. It's just that numbers oftentimes can be very deceiving and they can become detrimental into your own progress. Now, this is my experience, of course. What about yours? Have you ever tried to focus for 1 week, a month, a day into language learning? How much do you retain? What techniques have you used? And what languages are you studying right now? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you very much for joining Metatron's Academy.